have apologies from the Mayor, Tom Buckley, from Gavin Jackson and from Sarah Miller. Then we move on to declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? I see none. And the third is public participation. There's a large number of you want to talk. And I think it would make sense if we brought forward item 9, which I understand is what probably most of you are here to talk about. And with the permission of the committee, we will talk about that after public participation. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
So you don't have to sit here through all the boring stuff and then go home much later. Yeah. So we'll head for public participation. Now, we do ask you to give your name and your address, and we do ask you try and keep it concise, up to 2 or 3 minutes. So who would like to start? Right, who would like to stand up and give your name and address?
Good evening, I'm Jean Garron. I'm one of the Freeman's Meadow friends.
Right.
That's the case. I think I'll try shut. I use the park daily to exercise my dogs and meet friends, and I'm rather concerned to learn a possible proposal by the council to change the way in which landlocked Freeman's Meadow is going to be used. It's a peaceful, unstructured recreation ground, well used by people of all ages, and I understand it's being considered as a practice ground for a football team playing in the Reading and District Sunday League. I just wondered if a practicality study had been conducted on the use of Freeman's Meadow, and is that documented in the public domain? Freeman's Meadow is bounded on 4 sides by houses. There is only footpath access. It's an extremely safe place for all, and the children enjoy a playground for the under 12s, and when older, along with other users, access to open space for a variety of games. Locals walk their dogs, joggers jog, and older people sit and relax. It is a real local amenity where all gather. The Friends of Freeman's Meadow joined the Parks Department, if asked, to help with the Nature Corridor project, develop around the boundaries to shelter hedgehogs and other wild animals. And the sight of the bats swooping overhead at dusk is a delight. There won't be a dusk if lighting is brought in. There won't be open grass expanses to play on. And the meadow is at the bottom of a hill of houses and not well drained. There is no vehicle access, no toilets, and a peaceful, precious small town centre amenity might be lost. Surely the findings of the practicality study came to the same conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We take all your comments very seriously, and I have a whole pile here of letters and emails as well. So we're well appraised of your concerns. Would anyone else like to say anything?
Yes.
And your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Linda Bailey Hobson, and I live on Abraham's estate, so Cooper Road, Abraham's. I lived there since I was 4, roughly. So my concern really is child safety. Because of the structure, the meadow structure lends itself to being a safe place, i.e. only footpath access, surrounded by houses. And I know that children go there on their own, even as young as 8, and to play, and it's such a safe environment because it's not got passing traffic. No one really knows it's there. And the thought of, men coming and playing, as much as it's a lovely thing to do, I'm concerned about child safety.
Okay. Okay, that's a very good point. Anyone else like to say anything?
We have a child here who's now getting grown up and maybe listen to
Can I have your name and your address, please? Thank you.
Barry Dent.
Right.
And 12 Leicester.
Your Leicester Close, yeah.
Chairman, thank you very much. We know something of the history of football clubs in Henley. Of course, it's quite a famous array of clubs here, with 3 extremely well developed and set up clubs. And just recently, we've had a 4th club established, the Exiles, which seems to be a splinter from one of the other or 2 of the other groups. There are countless teams playing soccer in Henley, and they're catering for all ages, from under-8 to older people. The Henley AFC, for example, runs, would you believe it, 22 teams, which I think is an amazing success. And it's great for this town, and it helps very much to foster the local community. So I personally am highly in favour of the football environment here in the town. So the established clubs have pitches that they play on at Tesco's, at Mill Lane, in Harpston, and at the YMCA. They have a proper infrastructure at all these grounds. But I mean, Chairman, that they have toilets, changing rooms, they have first aid facilities and so on. And undoubtedly, they make financial arrangements and put them in place in order to use these pitches. The Exiles, the new arrivals in a sense, have played their recent matches at Harpston. But they had a period when they, earlier this year, where they played at Freeman's Meadow for a trial period, presumably approved by yourselves. Freeman's Meadow, it's a quiet place really. It's there for children to play. It's there for families to get together. It's there for pets to dash around. And it's there for older folks to take a gentler walk. It is an area which, in my view, is entirely unsuitable for heavy contact sports like football. When the trial was carried out, I don't know whether there was a formal assessment carried out by your committee chairman, but there's no doubt about it that there are certain areas were very heavily used, and they were essentially around the goalposts that were there. And the result was that that area that got heavy use turned into mud when the rain came, and it was unpleasant, and it was really something that was totally against playing football. One of the things that happened in these patches of heavy mud was that the species of pasture, the grassland species that we use, kind of changed because its environment changed. So you had a kind of mottled effect, and it was a change of species that will probably now last for quite a long time, which is a pity because it takes away the uniformity. I would urge the town council to encourage the Exiles to enjoy their football and keep fit. But at the same time, I would ask the council to reject the use of Freeman's Meadow for this kind of trial and for any other football-related activity. I believe the long-term solution for this is for you to begin to bring the teams in the town together and to get them to negotiate with the new team, the Exiles, and try to encourage them to work together. Because I feel that the statement made that there is no place available for another team to play. With all the football pitches and all the facilities that are available in the town, I feel that, that it is quite unnecessary to spread the net wider onto Freeman's Meadow. And I believe that this could provide a long-term solution for you, Chairman, and we should move in that direction.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to say anything? Or shall we move on to the,
Hi,
Lady at the back.
I'm Anna Wexton. I live at Luke Avenue.
right,
My concern would be that while currently they're saying they only want to train on a twice a week.
once
If
a
they're-
week?
Once a week. If they're struggling to find somewhere to train, who's to say that in the future they're not going to then request that this becomes their match day? Like that, I don't know. It's just a concern. I live on Luke Avenue, as you're probably well aware. There's a plan for a housing estate right at the far end of Luke Avenue. There is a plan for a new road because there's already problems with congestion on our road. And I know that the proposal says that they are locals. However, I will also state that I am a local. I live on Luke Avenue and I've driven here tonight because of timing. So while you're saying that they are locals, I don't know where they're going to park. I live right at the far end of Luke Avenue and getting home some nights is a weave. And there are nights when I drive home where I am positive a fire engine or an ambulance wouldn't reach the end of the road. Just because Luke Avenue is chock-a-block. So the concern about parking is very real.
Thank you.
Yeah, just thoughts.
Yes, thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Can I have your name and where you
Claire
live?
Graham, Field End. We actually had a trial last season. It wasn't called that, it was ad hoc playing. We were asked how we felt about it. I was a huge supporter of that. I'm very pro sport in Henley. Unfortunately, it didn't work. We had cars illegally parked on double yellow lines. When you requested them to move politely, you got ignored, they walked off. There was incredibly bad language, and we had balls hit at our fences and our property.
Okay.
So that was the trial period, and it didn't work.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any more? We take on board all that you're saying, and thank you very much for putting your case and raising your concerns, which is absolutely your right to do. We'd now like to discuss it as a committee, and if you're happy, no more questions. Yeah. I would like to say, as my opening comments, that myself as chairman and Kelly as vice chairman and the town clerk and outside staff met with a group of your residents and with the Exiles, and we had a very good open discussion. And so we've become very aware of your concerns and the emails that you've sent to us. We're very lucky in this town that we have a lot of open spaces. Freeman's happens to be a town green. The first town green was Gillett's Field, which I was very involved in creating as a town green, and it's very special. We also have Mill Marsh Meadows, and we have the Makins Recreation Ground. So they're very important open spaces to us. They're very precious and they're very well looked after. But they are in open spaces for the enjoyment of all. And everyone who uses them needs to respect them and act responsibly. And people enjoy them in different ways, as you've described, walking their dogs, children playing, or just out for some fresh air. And some, as we've heard, kicking a football around. They're all good, healthy activities, and if thoughtfully carried out, there should be no objections from other users. And the whole thing is that the Exiles will have heard your concerns, and we're very aware of any feedback through the outside staff. Any of these complaints, you come to us and we'll go back to the Exiles, and it obviously won't be a happy and suitable arrangement. So that we're very alert to that. So that's where we're coming from. Can I open it up to the committee? Anyone else would like to make any comments? Councillor Cavanaugh.
Yes, I'll kick off, but I'd like to sort of ask a few questions first. Sheridan, who wrote the report, please. It says in the report that the exiles cannot find a home around Henley. Now, there's a caveat straight away. I agree with that because we are short of pitches in Henley. We're about to create a new pitch, maybe up at Highlands Park. There is a desperate shortage of pitches. So the first thing is, I wonder if you could explain the analysis of the fact that they cannot find a home for one evening a week.
So the Town Council, we've just opened a brand new 3G pitch at Jubilee Park. And before the season has begun, all peak time sessions on that pitch have been fully booked for the entire season. So that goes to show the amount of demand that there are for pitches. Yes, there with grass pitches, they can also be overused as well. And so there's only a certain amount that you can play on grass pitches. So for example, at Harpston, I believe there are 3 different teams that use that for matches. And you can't, I think for adult teams off the top of my head, I think you can really only use it kind of like for a maximum of 3 matches a week. Otherwise it will degrade too much. With junior football, you can use it slightly more, but not much more. As we heard, just AFC Henley alone has, I think it's around two dozen teams. We've also seen Henley United recently start up. Henley Exiles are new as well. And so we have new teams starting all the time. And we have requests very regularly for use of our 2G pitch, of our 3G pitch, which we try and accommodate as much as possible. But we know that everywhere that people have looked, whether or not it's the rugby club, the YMCA, or Jubilee Park or Harpston, or down Henley Town Football Club, everywhere is full, especially for those peak weekday evening training slots.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, it's been alluded, although I didn't know anything about this at all, but that's not a negative, that a trial has already taken place. So have the Henley Exiles informally used the pitches, and when, and for how long, etc.?
Yes, so they did use Freeman's Meadow last season ad hoc. Now, because it is a town green, then local inhabitants have the legal right to use it for lawful sports and pastimes, which includes football. Now, of course, not all of Henley Exiles will be classed as local inhabitants, i.e. parishioners. However, you can make a strong argument that basically they have the legal right to do so. So they could simply just go down there and practice anyway without our permission. Having said that, the council can lawfully restrict actions. So, for example, it can restrict kind of organised or competitive sports on the ground should it wish. So this was really the opportunity for the while it has been allowed ad hoc, this is the opportunity for the committee to kind of decide one way or the other whether or not it does want to allow kind of competitive or organised sports or training to happen at the site.
And sort of, I'm sorry, I'm monopolising at the moment. I apologise, Chair. How often did they use it?
That is a very good question. I think
Or-
it was. I believe it was for once a week for a number of weeks. We do actually have.
Do you want to speak on it? Or-
We do have the.
Sorry, I'm just the chairman of Henley Exiles, so if you have any questions.
So I
Lots of employees.
yeah, so I don't know the exact number of sessions that they have, but we can get some clarification if we need.
I think we should, but I'll ask a question of Carl first. Apologies. When it was being used, the residents quite rightly have alluded to the condition of the grass. This is a training session, so it's not a match. The condition of the grass, and we all know that traditional grass pitches churn up quite a bit. Were you aware of this kind of thing?
If I'm completely honest, so absolutely, it was one of our key concerns as well. The pitch being churned up, as it were, and just the fact that it can be a fairly wet field. You know, it can be boggy in places of that field. We are aware of that. However, nothing really substantial was brought back to us. Nothing out of the ordinary, was brought back after these training sessions. So,
okay, thank you. And my final, for the moment, because I think we're all going to deal with this very thoroughly, by the way, that I would like the chairman of Henley Exiles to speak, even though it's not public participation, but I think he would shed a light. And I would like him to tackle those things. The churning up of the ground. The residents have said they were parking in a shambolic way, like my words, bad language. I'd like him to answer those questions, as well as giving the whole picture of the Henley Exile, if possible.
It's my discretion, is it?
Yes.
The floor is yours.
Well, I just want to touch on first and foremost, obviously the need for, as Sheridan pointed out, the demand for playing football and the spaces available within the Henley area is pretty limited. And I'm quite a flexible human being, someone who likes to try and look for solutions rather than hinder or cause issues anywhere. I've been in regular contact with Sheridan from last season, where we were looking for open spaces where we can use, can't use. Freeman's was recommended to me. I went down there. We went down there and trained for a few sessions. A pre-season last year, probably we did about maybe 10 sessions over a summer period. The weather wasn't particularly bad, so the grass wasn't churning up. There was no muddy surface during all that time, because obviously the summertime, so it wasn't wet or anything like that. In terms of the parking, some people will park over down by Luca Avenue, some people will park down by the shop. A lot of the people are actually local boys, like my young man who's right here, who just lives down by Gainsborough. It's a little walk down the road. They go down there and they come and train. So in terms of training, in terms of parking, I wasn't never made aware of any of this sort of, oh, can you move your vehicle? Because actually I would police that if there was any issue, and I would make sure that they would move away from parking those specific issues if it's brought to my attention. But obviously, in terms of talking about Harpston, Sheridan was exactly right. There's a certain amount of, they don't say a certain amount of matches, they say a certain amount of hours. So a certain amount of foot traffic can go on the grass pitches across a week. And so therefore, it does kind of equate to 3 to 4 matches a week. So therefore, places like Harpston, places like Shiplake,
Even the rugby club down by the river, because they seem empty at night. There's quite a few. I know it's
Sorry, everyone
Sorry,
else is allowed
sorry.
to speak freely. That is incredibly
Yeah,
rude.
I'm sorry, we've just asked, it's Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Well, they're just trying to help us.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's fair enough,
yes.
that's fair enough, and I'll totally take that on that. At the start of the season, just to clarify, I was in total conversation with Sheridan about what's the place called, where you're doing the 3G now? Jubilee Park. The rugby club, we contacted them. All of them were fully booked at that time. So all it was a case of, there's no leisure centres here like over in Reading, where I used to come from, where you'd have places like Palmer Park or places like Solihull, wherever where people could come, like a green, like Freeman's, where you would get together and young people could get together and play football and socialise and have fun and what have you. There seems to be an absence of that in the Henley area as a general. So rather than wanting to obviously tread on toes and obviously the cost involved in a lot of these places as well is quite extortionate in places for what it is you're getting for the period of time you have. So obviously a lot of my boys are deprived. Some of them aren't in work necessarily. Some come from backgrounds where they may have come from drug abuse in the past or whatever it might be. They're not all from loving, beautiful backgrounds. They're from a wide range of backgrounds. And I want to be able to give them all the opportunity to play football at an affordable price for themselves. So it's quite something I'm quite passionate about and something I always try to find solutions for. So although it might...
Yeah, that's lovely. Any more, Stefan, do you have any more questions while we have Nathaniel here?
And if you could keep your answers very, very short,
Yeah.
please. Right, bad language was raised, toilets was raised, and what ages are the players?
Okay, well the ages is open age, so we range from our youngest player
At the
16.
moment, what are the ages?
Yeah, our youngest player is 16 years old. Our oldest player is 37 years old. So it's
Okay,
a wide
fine.
range.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
good.
Toilets, bad language?
Right, bad language. Unfortunately, society generally, it's unfortunate you can't always control the level of language that you hear in certain places. I try to police it as best I can, but like I say, not everyone comes from the greatest of backgrounds. Some people do express themselves with swearing, and it's a football culture as well, which we know has a little bit of swearing in it, but we do try to keep that to a minimum.
Okay. Toilets?
Toilets, yeah, there are no toilet amenities there. However, it's only for an hour and a half period. There shouldn't be any issues with anyone wanting to use the property for wheeling around or whatever.
My final question, sorry, I am, and then I'll stop.
Yeah.
I will stop.
Okay.
It's not being used for matches, it's being used for training.
That's right.
So is that the stuff we see at Reading Football Club where they go around cones and backwards and forwards
It
and
can be
and
that,
pass?
yes, it can be that. It's all different.
Sorry,
brands.
I'm
Yes.
caricaturing it,
No,
so
no, that's
my
fine.
apologies.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, but it's training.
Yes.
Sorry,
That's it.
it's not
Thank you.
general questions.
Yes, okay.
We've just asked Nathaniel to
Thank you.
speak to
Thank you for
answer
that.
the councillor. Thank you very much, Nathaniel. Okay. That's fine. Good. Yes, thank you. Anyone else like to say anything in the committee? We've finished question time. And now it's the council.
When you bring something up, it raises another question.
Yeah, exactly.
We've finished.
We've finished question time and now it's for the councillors to discuss, and that's,
Response to the question.
it doesn't work that way. You had your,
You're suggesting in here that adults can go to the toilet in a park like children and dogs.
please,
That is illegal, just so you're aware.
please, will you just, not do this, right, council?
I'm actually, I was going to start something really positive. I'm really disappointed that some of the abuse and the ridiculousness of our private meeting has spilled into this. Because in the last 14 years, we have fought decades for a new hospital. We've fought 6 years for a skate park, had many controversies. We've saved many organisations, awarded hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of pounds of grant funding in this very room. And yet I'm yet to see it quite so full as it is today. My only disappointment is that it's for a group of adults using a recreational space for an hour and a half a week for recreational purposes. I would love to see the chambers this full at more meetings, however, I digress. A lot of work, time, energy and money has gone into making Freeman's an enjoyable space, the same as Makin's. I know because for the last 14 years, there hasn't been a project that's gone on either of those recreational spaces that I haven't been heavily involved in. So both mean a lot to me, despite the fact that I don't live close to either site. And that's the same, I'd like to think, for all of our green spaces. So I look at the decisions that we make on those green spaces with love and passion, and I really care about them. And one of the things, I've always joined them together in my head because we've spent a lot of time and money, as I said, on both sites, and And every time we did something at Makins, be it the skate park, the playground, the outdoor gym, the people at Freeman's would say, why haven't we got that on social media? And we'd say, well, you know, Makins is a more active ground and Freeman's is more tranquil. And I think we've done a really good job of sticking to that. I think we've had I'm speaking, so please don't interrupt me again. You've already been rude enough.
Carry on, Councillor.
I would like to think that the decisions that we've made for both have been to benefit both of those grounds, but not just to benefit the grounds themselves, but to benefit all of the residents and the visitors that come to Henley. I really like the idea of people using our spaces for all of the ways that they're intended, whether that's a peaceful community orchard, a bustling playground full of laughing kids, or whether that's some sporting activities. And I think it's great that we live in a town that's so busy. We are struggling to find spaces. That's actually a blessing in a world of computer games and coding and AI. It's really nice that people want to get outside, even when they're 37, because I'm 40 and I've struggled to leave the house in the evenings now. I think that when a ground is used, there becomes like a sense of self-policing, a community policing. People respect the area more. They treat it correctly. You see less hordes of loitering and antisocial behaviour. And we've seen that certainly with the skate park. It's been a great example. Everyone said, no, this is going to bring all of the terrible reprobates out. But actually what we saw is real community growth. I look at the YMCA, where I was board member for many years, where I was a resident for many years, a football ground that is used for matches and training all evenings of the week, both days of the weekend, surrounded by housing on three sides. And yet there have never been problems. In fact, the community down there take part in that. They cheer them on. They walk their dogs along the woods. They stop at the fence to watch the training, to watch the match. They cheer them on. Their kids grow up. They end up playing in the same teams. I don't think that Freeman's would be right for any matches, for a kick around, running around cones, training sessions for an hour and a half a week. I see no problem with it. And I see no problem with it because on an ad hoc basis, they could really do it without asking us. And unless it's brought to our attention and we decide to spend the money and the means to enforce it, really nothing would happen about that. The fact that they've come to us and they want a formal agreement, I think shows real sense. It shows a dedication to the area. It shows accountability. And those are all the kind of things that we're looking at when we're looking at getting into an agreement of any kind with people. However, at this stage, we're not looking at getting into a set agreement. We're just looking at a trial to see actually, can this work in a proper agreement with proper monitoring? Can this work so that our recreational space can be used in a recreational way by another age group that will benefit from it? And I think that we can do that. And I think that it is just a trial, and it may work and it may not work. And if it doesn't work, and if all of these things come true that have been said, then I will be the first person to want to put a stop to it, to be sat at this table wanting to do it. But to limit people, restrict them and stop them before they've even had a chance to really truly show what can work or what can be done, I think is a great shame. And it's not the reason I'm sat around this table, actually. I want to I think, as someone said in the public, I want to look for resolutions. I want to look for the way that something can happen. And you know what, if it didn't work here, I would look at another place that it might happen, because that's the kind of people that we are, and the decisions that we try to make. I would like to say that it also went very well, that the chairman of the Exiles sat there and listened to everybody, didn't interrupt anybody. It's incredibly daunting to come into this room, to come into such hostility to a majority of people that actually are against something that you're so passionate about. And I think it should be recognised that he didn't interrupt and didn't react when he was then interrupted, and people spoke over him as they have while I've been speaking too. I don't think that's a good way to make your argument or make your case known. It doesn't mean that I'm going to support those people any less. I support both sides of the argument. I completely see why people might not want this to happen. I do think that there's a lot of unnecessary stress. I've taken probably more than my 5 minutes, but I didn't want to miss anything out. I think that let's see how it goes. That's the way I'm going to be voting for it. Let's monitor it very closely. Let's work with everybody. It's not a case of let's do this trial and then, well, friends of Freeman are dead to us and we're going to just work with the Henley Exiles. That's not how it is at all. It's let's work with everybody to make sure that this is a positive experience for all. And that's really where I'd like to come from with it.
Lovely,
So
thank you very much, Councillor. Do I have any comments from anyone else in the committee? No? Councillor Riceman.
Our job tonight is to try and find a way of accommodating the different interests and stakeholders that are here and part of this discussion, whether that's Friends of Freeman's Meadow or the footballers or other members of the public with other interests and other wishes about how they want to use the open space that belongs to everyone in the town. And that may involve some compromises, and it might involve some trial and error. But overall, I think a managed trial is the way forward to see how it works with all the stakeholders working together, communicating and listening to each other. And I agree with Helen Gaynor, who is the chair of the Friends of Freeman, that a trial is the best way forward. And Kelly's example of the skate park is a very good one in the way that sport, recreation and residents can coexist successfully, despite the real concerns that there were before that very, very successful development took place about 10 years ago now. So the important thing about a trial is that it's a trial, and we set a time frame, we review it throughout the process, and if it isn't working in the way that people have expressed, we will stop it. We will change what we're doing. And it's important to realise that we will be flexible in making sure that everyone's wishes are respected and listened to. So my feelings are that trial is the right way forward.
Thank you. Councillor Davicek, you wanted to come back?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for all the contributions this evening. I really do hope we can try and get a little bit of perspective and also try and inject a bit of welcoming into it. We are talking about one evening a week, 6:30 to 8. So therefore the Freeman's Meadow will be perfectly unhindered, accessible throughout the whole of the day, for 6 nights of the week. One part of it, you're not going to take over the whole lot, one part of it for an hour and a half. I am going to move the recommendation, which is on page 37, but I am going to modify it slightly with the permission of the committee. 5.1 says it is recommended that the committee resolves that the council enters into an agreement with the Henley Excise for the use of Freeman's Meadow for football training on a trial basis, with authority to agree terms and conditions of hire delegated to the town clerk in consultation with the chair and the vice chair. But in addition, there will be an informal review in December with members of the club and with residents to review how it's going. And then a full review in April after the season with, again, residents and the members of the club, and also the council will be involved at that point. So it is a trial just to see how it goes, so that all aspects, and as Councillor Riceman said, if it's a complete disaster and there's parking all over it, there's a huge bad language, then that will come out. I would obviously urge the Henley Exiles to actually run a really good show, so therefore it becomes an exemplar for sport. Encouraging all the residents to come and have a kickabout as well, maybe, or maybe not. The other things I do want to say is that I often find that if spaces are used more, they become safer. It is at 6:30 to 8, so therefore young children are unlikely during winter to be out at that particular time. And therefore, I mean, I was assistant head at Gibbet School for 30 years, so I absolutely understand child safety in that respect. I would urge Henley Exiles to listen to the comments that have been made, and I'm sure they have, about the car parking, about the toilets, and the bad language or the lack of toilets. So you've just got to sort that bit out. I don't see that as a problem, actually. But I will formally recommend that particular motion. Kelly, do you want to
Yeah, I was just going to
modify it?
say, I was going to second it, but can we change the informal review to January, just because the diary is so chocker for December already with everything on the town council and everything else, that it would be better.
Fine, therefore it's as the wording.
But with January instead
There
of
will be
December.
a
Also,
trial.
I think that's more in the middle.
There will be of the trial, there will be an informal review in January with residents and the exiles, well, and councillors as well, and then a full review in April.
Okay,
Yes.
is everyone happy to
We
accept
can
that
carry on voting.
resolution? Or do you have any comments to make on that?
Well, no, I don't want to speak
Any
to
more?
us.
Councillor, do you want to say anyone want to say any more?
Just very briefly, while there will be a review in January and in the spring at the end of the season, we should make sure that we keep this under constant review. So we listen to residents. Residents can make representations. Similarly, the football club can come and talk with us. We will be watching what's happening and making sure that the situation is working. We're not going to just turn our backs until January and do nothing.
I'm sure lots of
and
emails
ignore
will
the
come into
situation.
Sheridan, as they have been. all
So
week.
we'll be careful to make sure that at all times we are aware of what's happening on the open spaces that we manage.
Right. I am reminded, and Councillor Hinton reminded me, of the skate park. When we first talked about the skate park on Making, some of you may know our very successful skate park. We had huge opposition. In fact, there was this particular gentleman who said he was going to move house because the sort of people who use skate parks were not the wholesome sort of young people who Henley should attract. Now, it is incredibly popular, incredibly well protected by the skate park people. My own children are skateboarders, and they are very proprietorial and look after it. It's been an enormous success. So hopefully your fears are misguided and the whole thing will work very happily as the skate park has. Now we have a resolution, we have a proposer, and we have a seconder, Councillor Hinton.
Yes.
So all those in favour of the proposal with the amendment? Okay? Okay, so that has been carried unanimously. And I hope you're reassured that we are listening and that it'll be...
No, we're not. There has always been a trial period. It was already.
Yes, okay, we're now moving on. If presumably you don't wish to stay for the rest of the meeting, we're now going to talk about the minutes of the last meeting. So we'll allow a couple of minutes for you to actually vacate the room.
It's nice to have these chambers. That is nice.
Can you come when it's something for them?
Be careful what you wish.
Always. Yes, that's the way it works. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the one that. Yeah. We would need to talk to the whether we get some enforcement. Well, maybe we need to plan.
Because I think it is a good point that even if you're just coming from a few streets away, some people
If we get a PCSO to walk there occasionally, those sorts of things. Self-policing is.
Well, exactly, but surely it's not down to tonight, do you see what I mean? I know you just thought it's a favourite person, but exactly. So, maybe it would be good for you to meet with friends of Greenwich because they actually feel like I mean, it might get quite a long list, but.
I think you're right, Sharon, the more I think about it. I remember many years ago, and it was when the school.
Is that big picture?
Oh, sure.
Rabbits, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, the worst.
Shut the door, that's good. Right. Okay, we can carry on now. Thank you for your contributions. Now we've got the minutes. To approve the minutes of the 9th of September. Do I have a proposer? Seconder? All those in favour? Right, so we move on. And then we have the progress. Lots of stuff on here. I think Charlotte was saying the building works is progressing well.
At the old Fire Station Gallery.
Yeah.
Yes, the roof strip started yesterday and the ecologist was on site, and so far there's been no evidence of bats.
No
which is
evidence of
reassuring.
bats.
They're about 2/3 of the way stripping the old Fire Station Gallery.
Yeah. Good. So it's on, because they're looking to finish by December, aren't they? So it's on schedule.
Yes, we're on schedule. We had our
Yeah.
progress meeting today and it's all so
Yeah.
far.
Lovely, very good. Any questions on progress? No? We'll move on to
I
finance.
think we've already had a busy evening.
You just want to go home now. They're all
No,
busy. I
we'll-
wouldn't go too soon because they'll all be
We'll
congregating
we'll
outside.
do it thoroughly.
We're late.
Don't forget we're still live.
Yeah, I was just.
Oh, right.
thinking of it.
Right, finances, management accounts. Do I have any comments on management accounts for the estates and for the parks? Councillor Riceman.
I always criticise councillors for bringing up things on details like those and not asking questions as officers in advance. But I've got one or two queries. So on page 10, the recreation and amenities parks page, the venture golf income is budgeted to be 110, and the forecast for the year is 101,000. And it's note 14 says golf income is ahead for the period. And then there are a couple of others where, for example, port 19, the moorings year to date being higher than budgeted. Where it seems to be the wrong way around to me. Am I just sort of being stupid, or are these the wrong way around?
So the adventure golf income is ahead for the period in comparison to last year. So you'll see that it is a £5,000 projected increase on last year, but it is below budget. So yes, it was a correct statement in the.
So it's ahead for the period compared to the previous
compared
financial
to
year. Okay.
yes, but behind on budget.
A bit ambitious, I think, was the budget, possibly.
Well, we'll see at the end of the year, won't we? Yeah, so they're similar for the moorings, which I guess so. And the other question I had on point 17 about the 2G pitch, about the 3G pitch. Sorry, have we taken into account here the sinking fund for the 3G pitch?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we have.
Yes.
Okay, right. Okay, I think that those were the only ones I had on that.
No, I'm on the next part of the agenda, sorry.
On the next bit, yeah, okay, so that's finances. So if you're happy with those, we move on to the budget, which
I'll start.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased to see that the overnight moorings aren't going to go up, because I think that considering what we offer, it's quite high already. I think, however, that when our services are a little bit better, perhaps we should be looking at that again. I know that we're the money-making committee. I know we bring in so much money for the
We
town
do.
council. I know we also like to spend
Spend
it.
it,
Yeah.
yes.
But part of the reason we can have such joy of spending it.
Finance gets much more than this committee, because it gets
Oh,
£1 million
that's just a
in precept.
precept. Yeah, precept. But I don't know, there was something about this graph with comparing us to Windsor and Abingdon. No, I'm by no means saying that we should be as low cost as Abingdon, because obviously we are a more superior town. But we're on level with Windsor. I don't know if that's,
There's
we
a lot
don't
to
have a
see
queen
in
living
Windsor.
here quite. So I don't know. There's something about the increase of the car parking that, despite knowing that we need to bring more income in,
You're not happy with that?
I just feel uncomfortable with it, and I get the report. I just wanted to, make it known that I do feel a little bit, even though it's visitors and it's very rarely a resident that's going to be coming and spending over 6 hours in one of the car parks. And if they're spending that money in and they're happy to spend that money, that's great. It's just, it feels quite steep, that's all.
Anything else?
No, that was it. That's the only two things that are in.
On the regatta mooring fees, bottom of page 15, it says a further report will be brought to this committee. But will that be the next meeting, so we can include those figures in the next budget update?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Will that come to FPS as well?
I wasn't planning on,
Yes.
but it could be.
Okay. Right. So I know mooring fees have been.
Yeah, they were too
interesting
high.
for us to. Well, we're concerned that they are. We are reviewing them because there's been
They were too
suggestions.
high in that there was no one who wanted to hire, which suggests that they were a bit high.
I've got another question about the columbarium. On the top of page 16, it says we're not going to increase the fees for the columbarium. Now, the columbarium hasn't quite been had the take-up that we would have liked. And I know that there was a plan to market it and in order to increase the revenue from that, because we did invest a lot of money in the columbarium. And I noticed on the progress report, didn't mention at the time, that the marketing plan for that had been delayed. And columbarium I see as an opportunity for us to increase our income. In the take-up could be higher. But have we got any thoughts of bringing forward the marketing plan?
No. So I think we have found that the columbarium is a very hard sell. That it is relatively expensive for what you get. The business case seemed very solid when it was put together. I think it's
By Janet, yeah.
Before my time.
Before your time.
But it was put together by a respectable kind of independent third party, and it seemed reasonable at the time. I think we are at a crossroads where, because we have had no take-up of it, then the worst place to be in position is if we sell one niche and then decide to change capital. So I think it needs a more fundamental review.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
When we were, it's slightly from the tangent, but when we were discussing columbarium, one of the things that we were thinking of was like a pet cemetery. Would that be an avenue to go down, like a theme for the columbarium?
Oh, I mean, potentially that was raised in the options report.
I'm being serious. It sounds like I'm not, because I'm trying really hard not to laugh, but I am serious.
I think in a way, because there have been other priorities, especially on the marketing side, that it has been put, if we're being honest, it's been put in the too hard pile.
Too difficult.
And we need to take it out of that pile. So that will be a discussion that will be coming to FDS.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so it is. We will need to look at that.
I really want to be on the committee with Kelly when she discusses this. So please include me to just that one item on the agenda.
Right. It is a serious suggestion. Actually, I mean, everyone's got a dog or cat or something.
Horses.
I can imagine it being an amazing success. You never know in this game.
And you'll hit the headlines.
Would you like a proposal that?
Let's have a proposal.
As on 5.1,
Yes, yeah.
which is that we recommend to financial strategy that the budget, as in the various schedules, are adopted.
Yeah.
which are a placeholder for now. This is the,
Yes.
just to remind people, this is the
Exactly.
first,
The
first
first
pass.
step, isn't it? Yeah.
This is the first pass, and we don't have to approve the
Mm.
final budgets until our first meeting in January.
That's right, yeah. So you're proposing,
So I propose
Do I
as
have a
in
seconder?
5.1.
Kelly, and all those in favour? Please show. Very good. These are all the backup budget papers. I couldn't understand why on page 19, for allotments, you had nothing down as income. It's usually 6,200 there.
Yes, apologies, that should say,
6,200.
no, I believe that was left blank as I was waiting for confirmation as to whether or not it would increase this year. Is it?
No, increasing this year, it's increasing next year.
Yes, next year.
Yes,
So it will be 6,200.
yes.
So that'll affect the bottom line, won't it?
It'll by all
It'll add
6,200.
6,200, so it'll look a whole lot better.
Yes,
Yeah, it'll, good,
yes.
great. So thank you very much. It's a very, I meant to congratulate you. It's a really full, detailed report. There's a lot of work gone into this. Thank you very much. So that is the budget. Memorial trees and benches policy. Yes, I didn't realise that this had become a problem for you regarding the benches. But it seems to make sense what you're proposing here. Yeah, this is presumably your suggestion, trees and benches up at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Do you think people will be happy with that?
I'm not sure about if people are going to be happy, but I think we need to kind of.
That's
I
all you
think
can, what we should do.
what we need to do, and I still feel trees are very much welcome as almost like a
Yes.
memorial. However, benches we are,
Yes.
especially in prime locations such as Mill and Marshmallows.
Councillor Hinton.
Well, I think if they want a tree, they can still go down by Mill Meadows. It's so
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah.
Thing. I think it makes complete sense.
Mm.
It's also it just stops them going into the river any more than they have to. It's a really nice, quiet place to sit. It's a suitable place.
Yeah.
I think it makes complete sense, and we go with the recommendation.
Are we careful to look after the trees once they,
Absolutely.
we put the watering system in and whatever?
Yes,
It takes
so-
about 18 months, doesn't
So
it? before
all our
a tree
newly established trees, we
Yes.
do our best to
Yeah.
maintain them. Some specimens will just, not do well, so we have to replace where needed.
Mm.
However, we do have watering systems in place.
Because it's always, Sue Ryder was always very concerned about this, about planting a tree for Grandpa.
Of course,
Because
yeah.
if the tree didn't thrive, it was quite difficult, really.
Mhm.
Yeah. Certainly you've done very well there. So we have
We have a
recommendation.
proposal.
I got a
I'll
question.
make a proposal.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Right.
Thank you for the report. I just wanted to know, are there any benches where the ongoing maintenance has stopped because something has happened? And are there any benches that have been set up and a plaque has been put in? Because it talks about 20% every year maintenance fee. So I'm assuming that is an ongoing payment that somebody's paid.
I thought it was a one-off payment,
The one on the table,
Yeah.
you look after them.
the ongoing maintenance.
Mm.
Does that need to be reviewed then? Is that,
No,
how
so-
does it,
So
how
this
does the
is a
bench get
20% that's
maintained?
paid. So for any bench which is agreed that is put in place, and this is a one-off payment on top for the ongoing maintenance. So once the bench is in place, it's saying that we will maintain it. This is just saying for future benches.
It's then owned by the town council, isn't it?
But once it's done for, it's done for, and then it goes off. It doesn't stay there forevermore.
It becomes property of any town council as
Oh,
well.
right, okay,
Mm.
okay, I misunderstood what
Yeah.
that meant. I just wondered if there were any, can you have a bench with more than one plaque or dedication?
We haven't done that before. However, that's not to say that you couldn't possibly. I think that's what we're trying to step. People generally want like prime locations such as Mill and Marsh Meadows for a bench or Singers Park, somewhere along the river to stop and reflect. We have had, I think there's approximately 60 benches just in Mill and Marsh alone.
Really?
So,
60?
That's just off the top of my head. It could be more, could be.
Gosh.
So we are just physically running out of locations.
Yeah.
Cemetery, we still have plenty of opportunities up there. But in Henley generally, and we're slowly. We try and locate benches where they will best be used. But yeah, we are running out of locations, as it were.
Yeah, okay, and then just a follow-up question is that I really also appreciate the fact that we will reach a tree saturation point, so small plants or, you know, the importance of hedgerows is really, really crucial from a biodiversity point, so I would also advocate for, you know, consider how planting a tree or planting something else, that would also benefit, would be really great.
Okay, so do I have a proposal for the recommendation?
Yes,
to approve change of the wording? Yes,
Yeah.
councillor Rice.
As in,
Seconded by councillor Hinton. All those in favour, please show. And since we've already covered number 9, trial use of previous.
I'm not going to do that again.
That is, meeting is, I declare.
Well, I thought it was all rather fun. It was like being a new council.